For decades, millions of viewers welcomed Kathie Lee Gifford into their homes every morning. Her cheerful personality, warm smile, and endless energy made it seem as though she was living a joyful and carefree life. To the audience, she looked confident, healthy, and full of life. But behind the bright television lights, a very different story was unfolding, one that almost no one knew. While she continued entertaining millions, Kathie Lee was quietly living with severe hip pain that grew worse over time. Every step became more difficult, yet she refused to let the cameras capture her discomfort. Like many longtime performers, she believed the audience deserved her best, even if it meant hiding her own suffering. For months, she pushed through the pain, determined not to let her physical condition interrupt her work. Eventually, the damage became impossible to ignore. Medical examinations revealed that her hip joint had deteriorated to a point where surgery was no longer optional. Specialists determined that a total hip replacement was the only realistic solution to restore movement and reduce the constant pain that had become part of her daily life. Her story also reflects a larger reality. Orthopedic experts explained that years of repetitive standing, walking, and performing can gradually wear down the joints, especially when early warning signs are ignored. Many entertainers continue working through pain because they fear slowing down or disappointing their audience, allowing minor injuries to develop into major medical problems. Kathie Lee's experience reminds us that the happiest faces we see on television often hide struggles the public never imagines. But one important question remains. How did her condition become so severe before anyone realized what she was enduring? The answer begins with a demanding career that shaped nearly every chapter of her life. Kathie Lee Gifford's hip problems didn't develop overnight. They were the result of years spent in an industry that demanded constant movement, long hours, and endless energy. Whether she was hosting live television, performing on stage, or traveling between projects, her body was under continuous physical stress. While viewers saw effortless performances, her joints were absorbing the impact of every demanding day. Live television is far more exhausting than many people realize. Hosts often spend hours standing under hot studio lights, walking between cameras, rehearsing multiple segments, and maintaining high energy from beginning to end. Unlike actors who can pause between scenes, live broadcasters have very few chances to rest. Over the years, those repetitive movements can place significant pressure on the hips, knees, and lower back. Kathie Lee's career extended beyond television. She also performed in theatrical productions that required rehearsals, dancing, quick movements, and long performances. Medical experts have long recognized that repetitive impact on hard surfaces can gradually wear away the protective cartilage inside the hip joint. Once that cartilage begins to disappear, bones start rubbing against each other, causing inflammation, stiffness, and increasing pain. Despite these warning signs, many entertainers choose to keep working. The pressure to remain dependable often outweighs concerns about personal health. Instead of taking extended breaks, they rely on temporary solutions like pain medication, injections, or simply pushing through discomfort. Kathie Lee was no exception. She continued smiling for the cameras while quietly adapting her movements to hide how much pain she was experiencing. By the time doctors fully evaluated her condition, years of accumulated damage had already taken their toll. But physical strain was only one part of the story. There was another reason she refused to show weakness, a deeply personal experience from earlier in her life that shaped the way she faced every challenge that followed. Physical pain wasn't the only burden Kathie Lee Gifford carried. Long before her health began to decline, she had already learned how to hide emotional pain behind a warm smile. Throughout her career, she became known for her positive attitude and cheerful personality, but maintaining that image wasn't always easy. Personal hardships taught her to keep moving forward, even when life became incredibly difficult. One of the most painful chapters of her early life came during her first marriage. The relationship ended unexpectedly, leaving her heartbroken and questioning her future. Instead of allowing the world to see her struggles, she chose to keep them private. That experience changed the way she handled every challenge that followed. She believed that showing strength was the only way to survive, and that mindset became part of both her personal life and professional career. As her popularity grew, millions of viewers looked to her for encouragement and laughter. She understood that people welcomed her into their homes each morning expecting optimism, not sadness. Over time, she felt responsible for protecting that image, even during periods when she was facing emotional or physical hardship herself. Psychologists often explain that people in highly visible careers can develop a habit of hiding pain because they fear disappointing others. Constant public attention can create pressure to appear strong at all times, making it difficult to ask for help or admit vulnerability. Kathie Lee's story reflects that reality. She continued inspiring audiences while quietly carrying burdens few people ever noticed. This emotional resilience helped her build one of television's most respected careers, but also made it harder for her to acknowledge when her body was reaching its limits. As the years passed, another important relationship would shape her outlook even further. Her marriage to Frank Gifford would bring great happiness, but it would also leave her with a lasting lesson that influenced how she faced aging, illness, and life after the spotlight. When Kathie Lee Gifford married Frank Gifford, she found not only a loving partner, but also someone who understood the intense pressure of living in the public eye. Frank had built an extraordinary career as both a legendary athlete and a respected television broadcaster. For decades, he represented strength, confidence, and professionalism. Together, they became one of America's most recognizable couples. As the years passed, however, Frank began experiencing the natural effects of aging. Like many public figures, he struggled with the idea of being remembered as anything less than the energetic person people had admired for so many years. According to Kathie Lee's own reflections, he preferred that fans remember him at his best rather than see him dealing with physical limitations. After Frank's passing in 2015, that philosophy stayed with Kathie Lee. Without realizing it, she began following the same pattern. As her own health problems became more serious, she gradually reduced her public appearances. Instead of attending events or spending time in crowded places, she chose the privacy of her home, where she could manage her pain without worrying about how others might see her. To make daily life easier, she adapted her living space to match her physical needs. She spent more time working on the ground floor of her home, avoiding unnecessary stairs and limiting movements that caused discomfort. These changes weren't signs of giving up. They were practical decisions that allowed her to remain independent while protecting her recovering body. Health experts often note that people recovering from major joint problems naturally become more cautious. Pain changes everyday habits, and even simple activities can require careful planning. For Kathie Lee, these adjustments marked the beginning of a quieter chapter focused on healing rather than constant public attention. But even after surgery, her challenges were far from over. Recovery brought new physical limitations, unexpected emotional struggles, and a completely different understanding of what growing older truly means. Although Kathie Lee Gifford's hip replacement surgery marked the end of years of unbearable pain, it also began one of the most challenging periods of her life. Surgery can repair a damaged joint, but it cannot instantly restore strength, balance, or confidence. Like many patients recovering from major orthopedic procedures, she faced months of physical therapy, limited mobility, and the frustration of having to rely on others for everyday tasks. The recovery process demanded patience. Doctors advised her to avoid putting too much pressure on her new hip while the surrounding muscles healed. Activities that once seemed effortless, walking long distances, climbing stairs, or even standing for extended periods, now required careful planning. Every small improvement came through determination, discipline, and consistent rehabilitation. Beyond the physical recovery, Kathie Lee also faced emotional challenges. She has often spoken about how difficult it was to accept that her body could no longer do everything it once could. For someone who had spent decades performing with endless energy, slowing down wasn't simply a medical adjustment. It was a major life transition. During this period, she found herself spending more time with family and reflecting on what truly mattered. She treasured every opportunity to be with her children and grandchildren, even when physical limitations prevented her from participating the way she wanted. Those moments reminded her that healing wasn't only about returning to work. It was about preserving the quality of everyday life. Medical experts explain that successful recovery after hip replacement depends on far more than the operation itself. Regular exercise, balanced nutrition, physical therapy, and emotional support all play essential roles in helping patients regain independence. As Kathie Lee gradually regained her strength, she also began to rethink her future. Instead of trying to recreate the demanding lifestyle she once lived, she chose a different path, one centered on creativity, faith, and finding purpose beyond the television spotlight. That decision would ultimately redefine the next chapter of her remarkable life. After spending decades in front of television cameras, Kathie Lee Gifford gradually discovered that success no longer had to be measured by ratings or public appearances. Her health challenges forced her to slow down, but they also gave her the opportunity to focus on the parts of life that had often been pushed aside during her busy career. Rather than returning to a demanding television schedule, she redirected her energy toward writing, music, and creative projects that allowed her to work at her own pace. These passions had always been part of her life, but now they became a source of healing. Writing gave her the freedom to share personal experiences, while music provided comfort during difficult moments. Both became important ways to stay connected with her audience without placing unnecessary strain on her body. Faith also played a central role in her recovery. Throughout her life, Kathie Lee has spoken openly about how her Christian beliefs have guided her through both joyful and painful seasons. During her rehabilitation, daily prayer, reading scripture, and quiet reflection became part of her routine. Instead of focusing only on what she had lost, she chose to be grateful for the opportunities that still remained. Health professionals often emphasize that emotional well-being can significantly influence physical recovery. Maintaining a positive outlook, staying mentally active, and nurturing meaningful relationships can improve motivation and help people adapt to major life changes. Kathie Lee's journey reflects this idea. While she couldn't completely erase the effects of aging, she found new ways to remain productive and fulfilled. Her experience sends an important message to anyone facing illness or physical limitations. Recovery isn't always about returning to the life you once had. Sometimes it's about creating a new chapter built on wisdom, resilience, and purpose. As Kathie Lee embraced this quieter lifestyle, she also gained a deeper appreciation for the lessons that decades of success and struggle had taught her, proving that true strength often grows during life's most difficult seasons. As Kathie Lee Gifford continued recovering, she began speaking more honestly about the realities of growing older. For many years, she had projected confidence and energy, leading people to believe that aging could be faced without major obstacles. But after her health struggles, she realized that pretending everything was perfect wasn't helping anyone. Instead, she chose to share the truth behind her experience. She explained that aging isn't simply about getting older. It's about adapting to constant changes in the body and mind. Everyday activities that once required no effort can gradually become more difficult. Simple tasks like walking long distances, lifting heavy objects, or recovering from minor injuries often take more time and patience than they did in earlier years. Accepting these changes became one of the biggest lessons of her life. Medical experts agree that healthy aging involves much more than treating illness. Regular movement, balanced nutrition, quality sleep, and routine medical checkups all help maintain strength and independence. Early treatment for joint pain, vision problems, or mobility issues can prevent more serious complications later in life. Kathie Lee's journey became an example of why listening to your body is so important instead of ignoring persistent discomfort. She also learned that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Throughout her career, she believed she had to handle every challenge alone, but recovery taught her the value of accepting support from family, friends, and medical professionals. That support gave her the confidence to move forward with hope instead of fear. Looking back, Kathie Lee realized that life's greatest achievements weren't limited to awards or television success. The strongest victories came from overcoming adversity with grace and refusing to let difficult circumstances define her future. Her story reminds us that every stage of life offers a chance to grow, discover new purpose, and inspire others through honesty. But one final chapter remained, a chapter focused not on loss, but on the lasting legacy she continues to leave behind. Although Kathie Lee Gifford stepped away from the fast-paced world of daily television, she never stopped inspiring people. Instead of measuring success by the number of hours she spent on screen, she began focusing on the impact she could make through her words, creativity, and personal experiences. Her journey proved that a meaningful life doesn't end when the cameras stop rolling. It simply takes on a different purpose. Over the years, Kathie Lee devoted more time to writing books, producing faith-based projects, and creating music that reflected her personal beliefs and life experiences. These creative outlets allowed her to remain connected with audiences while working in an environment that supported her health and well-being. Rather than chasing the demanding schedule that once defined her career, she embraced a slower pace that gave her time to reflect, create, and enjoy life with those closest to her. Her story also serves as an important reminder that many health conditions develop gradually. Orthopedic specialists often explain that persistent joint pain, reduced flexibility, or difficulty walking should never be dismissed as just getting older. Early medical attention, regular exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, and strengthening the muscles around the hips can significantly reduce the risk of severe joint damage later in life. Kathie Lee's experience highlights why paying attention to these warning signs can make a life-changing difference. Perhaps the greatest lesson from her journey is that true resilience isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about facing life's challenges with honesty, adapting when circumstances change, and finding new reasons to move forward. Even after surgery, personal loss, and years of physical pain, she continued building a life filled with creativity, faith, and hope. Today, Kathie Lee Gifford's legacy extends far beyond television. She is remembered not only for making millions of people smile, but also for demonstrating courage during some of the most difficult moments of her life. Her story reminds us that strength isn't measured by how long we hide our struggles. It's measured by how bravely we choose to overcome them. Kathie Lee Gifford's story is about much more than a successful television career or a major surgery. It is a reminder that every person, no matter how famous or admired, faces struggles that the public rarely sees. Behind the smiles, applause, and television appearances was a woman who spent years pushing through pain because she believed others depended on her strength. Looking back, one of the biggest lessons from her experience is the importance of listening to your body. Many people ignore ongoing pain, believing it will eventually disappear on its own. However, orthopedic specialists warn that persistent discomfort, reduced mobility, and stiffness can be early signs of serious joint disease. Seeking medical advice early may prevent permanent damage and improve long-term quality of life. Kathie Lee also demonstrated that life doesn't end after a major health setback. While she could no longer maintain the demanding lifestyle that once defined her career, she discovered new opportunities that matched her changing priorities. She continued writing books, working on creative projects, spending meaningful time with loved ones, and sharing messages of hope with audiences around the world. Instead of allowing physical limitations to define her future, she adapted and found purpose in new ways. Her journey also encourages people to rethink what success truly means. Success is not simply about staying busy or appearing strong at all times. Sometimes, real success comes from knowing when to slow down, accept help, and focus on what matters most: health, family, faith, and peace of mind. Today, Kathie Lee's story continues to inspire countless people facing their own health challenges. Her honesty reminds us that aging is a natural part of life, but courage is found in how we respond to it. As her remarkable journey reaches its final chapter, one powerful message remains. Every ending can become the beginning of a new purpose if we choose to embrace it with hope and determination. Kathie Lee Gifford's journey is a powerful reminder that even the brightest public figures carry private battles. For decades, audiences admired her infectious smile, quick wit, and uplifting personality, never realizing how much physical pain and emotional strength existed behind every appearance. While her career was filled with remarkable achievements, her greatest accomplishment may have been her determination to keep moving forward despite life's many challenges. Her experience teaches us that health should never be taken for granted. Ignoring persistent pain or believing it is simply a normal part of aging can delay treatment and allow serious conditions to worsen. Medical professionals consistently encourage people to seek early evaluation for ongoing joint pain, limited mobility, or changes in physical function. Early diagnosis often leads to better outcomes and a higher quality of life. Beyond the medical lessons, Kathie Lee's story is ultimately one of resilience. She faced personal loss, physical setbacks, and the difficult reality of growing older. Yet she refused to let those experiences define her future. Instead, she embraced a new chapter focused on family, faith, creativity, and gratitude. Her life proves that purpose doesn't disappear with age. It simply evolves. Today, her legacy extends far beyond television. She is remembered not only as an award-winning entertainer, but also as someone who demonstrated honesty, perseverance, and grace during some of life's most difficult moments. Her willingness to speak openly about her struggles has encouraged countless people to prioritize their own health and face life's challenges with courage. If Kathie Lee Gifford's journey has inspired you, remember that taking care of your health today can make a meaningful difference tomorrow. Every small step toward better well-being matters. Thank you for watching. If you found this story informative and inspiring, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what part of Kathie Lee's journey touched you the most. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary exploring the remarkable lives and untold stories behind the world's most well-known personalities.